In a big world, there is an area which can never be ignored. That is Southeast Asia. In August 1967, associations of Southeastern Asian nations came into being. As an increasingly influential organization, ASEAN is very active now in the world stage. In West China, there is a place which is well known for its mystery and colorfulness, that is Guizhou Province. As the best place for summer in China, Guizhou is drawing more and more international attentions to its capital city, Guiyuan. In the summer of 2008, China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week was firstly held in Guizhou. Since then, a rainbow has been across the sky, over the mountains, and above rivers and seas, connecting China and ASEAN countries. The date of July 26, 2008 has become as significant as a milestone in the friendly exchange and communication between China and ASEAN countries. On that day, the first China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week, sponsored by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs PR China, the Ministry of Education PR China, and the People's Government of Guizhou Province, was held in Guiyuan. On that day, the newly imposing platform for bilateral and multilateral cooperation and for realizing mutual benefit was established. Since then, 5 years has passed. The previous 5 China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Weeks have opened a new chapter for the in-depth and wide-range cooperation between China and ASEAN. Chinese government has attached great importance to the China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week. In August 2010, at the opening ceremony of the 3rd China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week, Madam Liu Yandong, Vice Premier of the State Council, former State Councilor of the People's Republic of China, made the keynote speech entitled "Forging Closer Ties Between the People of China and ASEAN." Madam Liu Yandong stressed that educational exchange as an important component is the important carrier for joint education and mutual benefits between China and ASEAN. Such exchanges are extremely critical to strengthening our mutual trust and friendship from generation to generation. In August 2011, right before the 4th China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week, Mr. Li Zhanshu, member of Central Political Bureau, Secretary of the CPC Secretariat, Director of General Office of the Central Committee of the People's Republic of China, former General Secretary of Guizhou Provincial Party Committee, laid more emphasis that Cooperation Week has been held regularly in the inland province Guizhou, which becomes an important channel to enlarge the opening up and promote the development of Guizhou Province. He asked the relevant departments to make careful organization and establish this platform as well as possible. On September 16, 2012, Mr. Zhao Kezhi, General Secretary of Guizhou Provincial Party Committee, former Governor of Guizhou Province, sent the special congratulatory letter to the 5th China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week, expecting to deepen the cooperation with ASEAN comprehensively and to implant new substance into the friendly exchange between China and ASEAN. With mutual benefits and constant efforts of China and ASEAN, the China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week is going for a norm and brand, becoming an important platform to promote the educational exchange and development of both sides. The China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week has followed the route to the down-to-earth practice, achieving various wonderfulness and great achievements. In the first Cooperation Week, China as an Education Information Network was announced to be put into use. The Guiyang Statement of the University Rectors Forums of the first China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week called for all the governments to attach more importance to the sustainable development functions of universities in the globalization era, guiding and promoting the cooperation and exchange between Chinese universities and ASEAN universities. The minutes of the University Rectors Forum in the second China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week was thought to be another important achievement, which confirmed to realize the double 100,000 goal of student mobility in 2020. That is, in the year 2020, students of ASEAN member countries coming to China and Chinese students going to ASEAN member countries for their studies will both reach 100,000. So, exchange promotes mutual trust, and cooperation realizes a win-win situation. In the third Cooperation Week, the Guiyang Statement of China-ASEAN Education Minister Roundtable Conference declared solemnly, "We believe that exchanges and cooperation in education between China and ASEAN countries will lead to peace and prosperity." It is not difficult to find that all the previous Cooperation Weeks have their thematic setting up of the forums, roundtable conferences, and seminars closely connected practice, analyze problems, resolve contradictions, and explore development. From the teacher and student exchange to the education administrator seminar, from the environmental education forum to the humanities symposium, from the cross-cultural communication forum to the government industry university tripartite cooperation seminar, the scholars and the experts raised a big wisdom storm, making the academic light penetrate the wider fields. The official and the rectors drove the big viewpoint collision, making the innovative wings spread into broader space. During the fifth Cooperation Week, the China-ASEAN Tourism Development and Tourism-Related Talents Cultivation Forum, Ethnic Culture Industry Development Seminar, China-ASEAN Minorities Intangible Cultural Heritage Conservation Symposium, and the China-ASEAN Free Trade Zone International Business Talents Training Seminar were held purposefully for the first time. During the Cooperation Week, China and ASEAN has had broader interstate and intercollegiate cooperation based on a principle of mutual benefits, and over 270 agreements or MOU were signed. These agreements involved 100 colleges or universities of both China and ASEAN, including elementary education, vocational education, and higher education. The content of these agreements covers student exchange, personnel training, teacher exchange, scientific research and language education, etc. The Cooperation Week, as what Mr. Tang Chen, Assistant Secretary General of UNESCO, highly praised, is a model event for international education cooperation. The China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week has its attraction embodied in the closer ties of the people between China and ASEAN. The China-ASEAN Youth Summer Camp is the reliable program in the Cooperation Week. In addition, more programs have been introduced to the Cooperation Week, such as China-ASEAN Youth Art Festival, China-ASEAN Youth Culture and Sports Festival, Knowledge Contest about Asian countries, Chinese Knowledge Competition, and some other activities like experiencing the custom in Guizhou minority area. Such humanistic exchanges can further touch the people's spirit, cultivate their feelings, and enhance their mutual trust. Based on the mutual benefits, we can see with pleasure that there appears the heat for learning Chinese language in ASEAN countries, and there is also ASEAN upsurge in China. By 2012, the number of the ASEAN students studying in China had reached over 55,000. and the number of the ASEAN people in all fields studying in China had reached over 100,000. Meanwhile, 5,000 Chinese teacher volunteers had been sent to ASEAN to teach Chinese, and nearly 10,000 scholars had been sent to ASEAN to train the Chinese language teachers for ASEAN. China has established 21 Confucian institutes and 14 Confucian schools in ASEAN, and all the ASEAN languages had been set up as majors in Chinese colleges or universities. 10 national-level China ASEAN education training centers had been established in China. We can also see with pleasure that the Cooperation Week has been developing for a brighter future in which more promotion will be put in the education of China and ASEAN, followed by more peace and development in local areas. At the moment of the 6th China ASEAN Education Cooperation Week, let us review the wonderful statement by Mr. Dai Bingguo, former State Councilor of the People's Republic of China, at the 20th anniversary reception ceremony of the dialogue relationship between China and ASEAN in August 2011. Peace, development, and cooperation are what all people expect in the 21st century. Let's work together to open up a brighter future of China-ASEAN relationship. Cheers for the China-ASEAN Education Cooperation Week. Cheers for its brighter future and long-lasting prosperity.